Okay. Good evening. My name is Annette Mills, and on behalf of the Corvallis Sustainability Coalition, I would like to welcome you to the 2024 Sustainability Town Hall. This is the Coalition's 16th Town Hall event. Thank you for coming tonight and for your interest in creating a sustainable community. The Coalition's mission is to promote an ecologically, socially, and economically healthy city and county. Our guiding objectives are based on the 4 natural step system conditions for a sustainable society. These objectives focus on using renewable resources and biologically safe products, protecting natural ecosystems, and supporting people's capacity to meet their basic needs fairly and efficiently. We invite you to check out our website to learn more about these guiding objectives and to use them as a tool in your daily decision-making. The Sustainability Coalition is a network of more than 360 partner organizations and many individual volunteers. A longtime coalition volunteer who is helping to lead the way to a sustainable future is OSU's Sustainability Officer, Brandon Trelstead, who's going to tell us what we've done to make this a model sustainable event.
Thanks, Annette. All right. So for those who have been here before, you know we're trying to model sustainability in the event, and you've probably noticed already outside we have reusable and compostable food service containers. We have staffed waste stations throughout, so a big thanks to the volunteers who are helping do that. On the energy side, we're doing a little bit more measurement this year, so I thought I'd spice that up a little so it's not entirely the same thing as every year. But so on the graph you see the blue line is our 2019 town hall event, and the yellow line is our 2023 town hall event. And so changes that we've been able to make throughout the building, mostly heating and cooling system, have dropped the energy consumption of the Alumni Center by about 30%. So yeah, thanks. We're also offsetting the carbon emissions from the event, which is far less than 1 ton, but we're going to buy 1 ton of offsets for the event to offset the transportation, the lighting, and the natural gas use for tonight. Food, the awesome food that's from New Morning Catering tonight comes from the local 6 counties. Yes, thanks, New Morning. So the local 6 are Benton, Lane, Lincoln, Lynn, Marion, and Polk counties. And the drinking water tonight is lovely Corvallis tap water. It tastes good. We don't need bottled water, right? And speaking of water, the kind that you probably, well, may or may not drink, hopefully. So we have low flow toilets and low flow urinals and also low flow aerators on the sink. So back to you, Annette.
Thank you so much, Brandon. So another way that this is a sustainable event is that it's free. And for that, we owe a big thank you to our sponsors and donors. Tonight's sponsors include OSU Sustainability Office, Benton Community Foundation, First Alternative Co-op, EnergyWise Services, G. Christensen Construction, Abundant Solar, Block 15, Greenbelt Land Trust, Seeds for the Soul, Sibling Revelry, Western Pulp Products, Audubon Society of Corvallis, Committees of Correspondence for Democracy and Socialism, Corvallis Folklore Society, First United Methodist Church Environmental Care Team, Flicker and Fur, Mary's Peak Group of the Sierra Club, Oregon Clean Power Co-op, Owen Dell and Associates, Peak Bike and Outdoor, and Public Good PR. We've also had financial support from individual donors and other partner organizations that we call our Town Hall Heroes. We'd also like to acknowledge our engaged partners who provide substantial financial support for our basic operations. We're very grateful to these generous individuals and partner organizations. Please join me in thanking all of our sponsors and donors. We'd also like to recognize Donna Tarasawa, who coordinated the Sustainability Fair, and Elizabeth Gibb, who coordinated the food. Thanks to all who worked on planning and promoting tonight's event. And a big thank you to all of those who are assisting with tonight's program. We really appreciate your willingness to help. Living more sustainably requires us to think holistically and long-term into the past, in the present, and into the future. And so we'd like to begin by honoring that we reside in Champinafu, the ancestral area of the Ampinafu Kalapuya people who have stewarded this land since time immemorial. It's also important that we demonstrate reciprocity by building relationships with Kalapuya people, Champinafu land, and Champinafu waters. The coalition has been one of multiple partners to collaborate with the Confederated Tribes of the Grand Ronde, helping to produce the annual Champinafu series, which provides a forum for Kalapuya people to tell the stories of their culture. We encourage everyone to attend this fall series and also to visit the Chichalu Museum at Grand Ronde to experience and participate in the reciprocal process. Another way to experience reciprocity is by planting native species that are culturally relevant to the Kalapuya people, such as tarweed, camas, yampa, and elderberry. We live at a pivotal moment. We are in the midst of a great transition, and each of us has the power to influence this transition through the daily choices we make and through our work together. As a community and as a nation, our choices are contributing to a dramatically changing climate and to the loss of biodiversity, both of which threaten the ecosystems on which our lives depend. But these challenges also present us with tremendous opportunities. And as we were considering what our theme would be for this year's town hall, we decided to do something completely different. Our theme tonight is the arts, a portal to sustainability. We hope to inspire you with new ideas to celebrate our community's progress and to explore opportunities as we make the transition to a more just, more sustainable world, which must include a secure energy future and a better understanding of our place in the web of life. Tonight's program has 3 parts, each beginning with presentations at the front of the room, followed by discussion or action. After each set of presentations, we'll pose questions to explore at our tables, and our volunteer table leaders and recorders will help guide us and collect our ideas so that we have a record of what was discussed tonight. We will be using the ideas that you all share to develop our theme of the arts as a portal to sustainability during 2024 and beyond, so we can more effectively communicate solutions to the challenges that face us. But first, before our keynote presentation, we will begin with some introductions at our tables. And for those who are standing at the back, we would love to have you come and take a seat. Raise your hand if there are places at your table. So we want everybody to be able to participate in discussions because we're just about to have our first table exercise, which is to introduce ourselves to each other. So we're going to ask you to please share your name. Name one affiliation you may want to mention, whether you go to school or you work or you, are involved with an organization. And then just one sentence to say why you decided to come to the town hall tonight. And your table leaders will be first. So let's get started. I really hate to interrupt your conversations. I just love getting people together and having them talk with each other. So before we hear from our keynote speakers, whoops, what just happened? Okay, thank you. I would like to provide some context. In today's society, we are constantly bombarded with news that is, quite frankly, difficult to hear. And too often, the facts and information that are shared with us are either overwhelming or difficult to grasp. And much of the news we hear is directed at our minds, our intellect. But what communications professionals and our own experiences have taught us is that changes in perspective and changes in behavior are more often brought about by engaging our emotions. And the many forms of art that we create provide powerful ways to engage us and lead us to new directions. Art can convey a message or elicit an emotional response. When some aspect of sustainability is the message, art can be a powerful tool or portal leading us toward action. Art in our culture encompasses many forms: drawing, painting, sculpture, digital art, architecture, interior design, literature, poetry, the spoken word, music, dance, theater, photography, film, the practical arts, graphic design, landscape design, fashion design, culinary arts. All of these forms and much more can be powerful tools in conveying messages related to sustainability. So most of us probably don't see ourselves as artists, but how we live our lives and demonstrate sustainable living is an art form in itself. And using art to share our ideas and our sustainable choices with others is what we'll be exploring tonight. We're going to hear now from 3 of our fellow community members who represent 3 different arts organizations and ways of thinking about the arts. Our first speaker is Cynthia Spencer. Cynthia has called Corvallis home for almost 40 years. She is a veteran working artist who sold her pottery throughout the U.S. through art fairs, galleries, direct sales, and online for over 20 years. For the past 20 years, she has been proud to advocate for the arts and serve as a previous director of the Corvallis Fall Festival, and for the past 10 years at the helm of our community-focused Art Center. Please give Cynthia a warm welcome.
So thanks very much to the Coalition for this opportunity to share more about your Art Center and how we positively impact social, cultural, and economic sustainability. Last year, we celebrated our 60th birthday and 60 years of serving Corvallis. And this year, we have embarked on a year of change with a new and more colorful logo. Our mission is to inspire creativity and to contribute to community well-being through equitable access to and engagement with the visual arts. From the beginning of humanity, people have been compelled to create, and we are so fortunate to have so many creatives and makers living and working here because they make it a town that we all can enjoy. You know, I wish I had a number for how many artists. I know it's in the thousands because we have 2,000 on our mailing list alone, and I know it's not complete. The Howland Community Open show that just concluded featured works by over 300 local creatives. Smiling faces dropped off work to be hung, and for the past 2 months, we have been a place people have visited for an hour or more, leaving with even bigger smiles on their faces, a sure sign we've contributed to their well-being. The Art Center's work aligns with the Coalition's goal for economic vitality with values and actions we share. Through our work, we support opportunities for local artisans, craftspeople, and musicians to promote and or sell their products and services, and we attract and support a variety of artists of all disciplines. In the economic realm, the arts are great for business. A 2016 nationwide study in which Corvallis participated showed the arts had an economic impact of 71 million here in Corvallis alone and 687 million throughout the state of Oregon. As we were still emerging from the pandemic, that impact grew to over 826 million in the 2021 study. So bringing it back to Corvallis and our own home turf, the Arts Center seeks to broaden access to the arts through 3 primary programs: public exhibitions in our 2 galleries, arts learning for youth and adults, and our Artist Accelerator program. Arts learning and project-based making provides a means of self-expression and self-identity that builds confidence and teaches persistence, skills that foster a lifetime of learning. Plus, making art together is a great way to be in community with people from different walks of life. We value artists as one of the greatest local assets that we have here. However, due to high costs of residing and living here, a successful career in the arts can be quite a challenge. And I know I had a second income coming into my home, but I would have been an Oregon Trail card user with my income from being an artist. Thus, our accelerator program at the Arts Center supports artists and creatives through business skill building, coaching, networking, and a collaborative learning environment. And we're very proud that 50% of the program graduates who go through our program are working in the arts today. In support of one of the coalition's most successful ongoing initiatives to buy local, our art shop boasts the largest selection of local arts and crafts in town, where you can shop locally year-round to support local artists and the Arts Center. Because people need a variety of ways to be involved with the arts, community engagement supports those who seek volunteer and workforce training with opportunities that benefit them and give back to the community. A volunteer project that I'm really happy to tell you about tonight is the Pollinator Paradise, where a coalition of Central Park neighbors, the city, CBUF, and local businesses reimagined the underutilized parking strip next to our building into a beautiful urban learning garden. Last summer, the Seepstone was a frequent place to see the local Central Park Hawks drinking and bathing. So I hope you come join us during the Spring Garden Festival this year, where we will be dedicating this park. And the neighborhood group that have put this together are a fantastic group, and many of you are here in the room. Public exhibitions are our most visible and impactful program, providing access to the arts 250 days a year. Over 20,000 local and tourism visitors visit each year and connect with artworks by contemporary artists with interests in broad, relevant subject matters. Wrought the Afterlife of Trees was a cross-cultural connection with the OSU College of Forestry and Spring Creek Project, who you'll be hearing from later tonight. Artists, poets, and musicians were inspired to learn about the benefits of rotting trees from Dr. Mark Harmon through forest tours and presentation. And this example artwork presents tree data from Dr. Harmon's study in a most beautiful and insightful way. For this project, we also engaged youth at three elementary schools in 8-week art science sessions, where students learned about forest diversity and a healthy ecosystem, and while they also learned basic color mixing and drawing principles. And their murals were shown alongside the professional artwork in the main gallery. A few years later, a microbiomes arts and science collaboration with Dr. Bartholomew in the microbiology department showed how much the arts and sciences align. These slides show how Harvard Medical School microbiologists measure, visualize, and understand systems that superbugs use as they adapt to antibiotics. Similarly, artist Betts Cole researched and experimented to create an artwork that embodies those complexities in its making. Just recently in 2022, during the pandemic still, we had a 9-month project, What Will Nature Do?, that showed nature's adaptations and resilience despite human-caused effects of climate change. Dr. Bachelet here on campus put together a series of 9 lectures with some fantastic science researchers from around the country. And then we also had a series of artists who are scientists who use art in their daily practices. So this whole show was meant to inspire the hope that Annette mentioned. artists responding to work to inspire people to turn their feelings of despair into hope. And by the way, that entire lecture series is still on our YouTube channel if you're interested in seeing some of them. One of the participating artists shared why her art making is integral to her scientific practice. Science can give us the information to redress problems, and the arts have the power to stimulate hope. Looking ahead, I hope you'll join us this summer to experience an immersive art installation about space. Artist Catherine Cellarini Moore has exhibited internationally, and she uses and recycles media to create her immersive experiences. She's hoping that people will reflect on our collective multifaceted potential as just one species amongst many. Through a collaboration with OSU mechanical and electrical engineering students, we have the goal of creating our first zero-emission exhibit. Finally, while I have this soapbox, please remember how big of a role the arts play in our daily lives. Design principles, artistic and creative thinking, and making all played roles in communicating tonight's town hall and community fair presentations. Imagine our event minus the posters, slides, web pages, photography, media, and stories being shared. Our event would not have been nearly as interesting and engaging. Corvallis prides itself on being innovative, yet the arts are sorely underfunded and many artists cannot afford to live here. Like the rest of us, artists deserve a living wage because they cannot live on just visibility and always volunteering their time for projects. The musical, visual, performing, and cultural arts organizations we know and love need our support. So get out there and buy art, make a donation on top of that ticket price, and donate your time and financial support to keep it all thriving. Thank you for allowing me. Thank you for allowing me to share more about how the arts contribute to our livability and sustainability of our communities.
Thank you so much, Cynthia. That was fun. All right. Our next speaker is Carly Latero. Carly directs the Spring Creek Project and is the Associate Director of Arts, Science and Humanities and Technology Integration at PRAX, OSU's new Patricia Valian Research Center for Creative Arts. She envisions and builds programs, nurtures collaborations, and supports thinkers and creatives. She thrives at intersections, places where ideas and people and disciplines come together to imagine new stories and solutions to the world's most pressing problems. Please welcome Carly to the podium.
Thank you so much, Annette, and hi, everyone. It's been one of my greatest honors this last 17 years now to be affiliated with the Spring Creek Project, and I look forward to sharing a little bit about PRAX as well tonight. Going forward. No. There we go. I'd like to start by inviting you all to think about a piece of writing that has influenced your environmental thinking or your environmental activism or your environmental work. A piece of writing that has changed perhaps how you think about the environment. It could be a book, an article, an essay, a poem, song lyrics, something that you've read that's really shifted or deepened your resolve to care for the planet. So I'll give you a moment to have that in mind. Do you have it? Okay. So if you hold that piece in mind, it's very likely that Spring Creek Project supports the kind of writing that you're thinking about. See if this piece of writing that's in your mind fits into one or more of these categories. We support and encourage writers who explore what it means to be an engaged person in this time of environmental devastation and opportunity. We support and encourage writers who are dedicated to understanding how to tell new stories and imagine different possibilities that can help us create a world that honors all beings. And we support and encourage writers who explore how to sustain ourselves and our communities as we fight really with our whole hearts for the health and future of all the living beings on our planet. We believe that this is really critical work to the environmental movement. And this author says it so well, I think, that it's been said that writing acts as a mirror reflecting our culture, our time and place in history. Yet writing can also influence culture, nudge it forward, or redefine it entirely. This is the role of new environmental writing. And I'll follow that with Ursula K. Le Guin, the brilliant late Le Guin. She wrote, "Hard times are coming. We know hard times are here." She wrote this quite a while ago, "when we'll be wanting the voices of writers who can see alternatives to how we live now, can see through our fear-stricken society and its obsessive technologies to other ways of being, and even imagine real grounds for hope. We need writers who can remember freedom, poets and visionaries, realists of a larger reality." So in everything that we do at Spring Creek Project, this is the kind of writing that we're trying to support. And we recognize that it does not at all happen in isolation, that all of us in this room and there we go. And all of the writers need community in order to do the kind of thinking and creative work that they're called to do. And so Spring Creek supports them by sharing writing and ideas, also through residencies and fellowships, and by through writing workshops and calls for submission. So first, we share writing and we share ideas, and we bring people together to do that, sometimes in in-person events and sometimes in online communities. I know many of you from those events over the years. Since 2002, Spring Creek just celebrated our 20th anniversary. We have hosted hundreds of public events here in Corvallis. Every single one of them has been free and open to the public. Some of you will remember Transformation Without Apocalypse, How to Live Well on an Altered Planet, Thin Green Line, Creative Resistance to Fossil Fuel Development in the Pacific Northwest, the Chrysalis Symposium, and many, many others. We also, during the pandemic, shifted, as many of the organizations here did, and we started doing a lot more online programming. And so we have a number of series that are available online, like Pandemic is Portal, Creating a Just Future on Earth, the Bedrock Lectures that explores writing and thinking about human rights and fracking, Lookout, Envisioning Futures with Wildfire, that invites artists and writers and activists to really think about this future that we're in right now with wildfire. Spring Creek, these are some of the series that are available on our website, and each one of these is connected to videos or audio with authors reading or authors sharing their ideas about the environmental work that they're so dedicated to. We also this year launched our very first podcast. So we now have the Spring Creek podcast. Just last week, we launched the second series in that podcast called Luminaries. So if you think about that piece of writing that you had in mind, Luminaries would be a chance for you to tell other people why you love that piece of writing or why it's changed you. So it's a series of short podcasts, just 8 to 10 minute episodes that invites people to share stories about writing and art that illuminates their environmental thinking or work. The first episode features Kathleen Dean Moore, local writer and ethicist, riffing on W.S. Merwin's On Chopping a Tree. So I invite you to check that out. We also have a series called Inner Nature, and this is a collection of conversations between thought leaders and writers exploring the intersection of contemplative practice and environmental action. The series explores how we can tend to our inner lives so we have the creativity and clarity to imagine the future that we all know is possible, and also the mental and emotional stamina to do the work that we need to do towards that vision, which I know all of us in this room know is really going to take a lifetime. I have learned so much from this series, and I hope that you'll check it out. Another thing that we just do is support writers through residencies and fellowships. Our goal with these is to provide writers with time and space to work on all the kinds of environmental writing that we support. Because of this, because unlike numbers or facts, stories can trigger an emotional response, harnessing the power of motivation, imagination, and personal values, which drive the most powerful and permanent forms of social change. That's what our residencies are committed to. We have 3 residency locations. The cabin at Chopouch Creek is in the Coast Range, just between here and Newport. It's a beautiful unplugged cabin on a 70-acre nature preserve. And then we have 2 locations in the Cascade Range, the H.J. Andrews Experimental Forest, which is part of a long-term ecological research NSF site, and the Lopez Cottage on the McKenzie River. So at those 3 locations, we host over a dozen different kinds of fellowships and residencies. Those are open to all writers and often to artists as well to apply. One of them that I'll mention is the Environmental Writing Fellowship and Residency, which we host at the cabin at Chopouch Creek. And we partner with an environmental nonprofit and invite writers to apply to work with that environmental nonprofit for a year. And so right now, Jenna Butler is working with Oregon Wild and will continue to do that for many years to come. We already have our next 2 nonprofit partners lined up for that. And so it's a very practical way that writers and nonprofits get to work together. So in addition to that, we have writing workshops and submissions, calls for submission. I know many of you have submitted or been involved in those workshops over the years. And even if writing is not your go-to, many of these are for people who are not professional writers, and all levels are welcome. So we have things like Working and Writing the Woods out at the cabin at Chopouch Creek. We've partnered with some folks here on ArtSend Mary's Peak, writing about Mary's Peak, Campus Rambles, which are workshops here on campus. We also host all kinds of calls for submission for writing, including, like Cynthia was saying, Rot, the Afterlife of Trees was one of those that we partnered with the Art Center on. We have one call open right now. We're partnering with terrain.org on a series of stories, climate stories in action. And so we're inviting storytellers to submit poetry, nonfiction, fiction, art, and multimedia pieces that showcase climate activism in professional, civic, and community life. A couple other things that are coming up. We'll be launching a series on collective climate action with some really incredible writers and thinkers in the next 2 weeks. We'll also be releasing episodes of Luminaries every 2 weeks, and then working with these authors to get their books out in the world this spring term. Spring Creek Project has been at OSU for 20 years, but we have this new institutional home at PRAX, the Patricia Valian Research Center for Creative Arts. How many of you have seen the building? Okay, that's so great. We're opening in 1 month. And so come spend the day with us. There'll be all kinds of tours and all kinds of different ways to engage with visual arts, with spoken word, with this intersection of art and science, and with performances in all of the spaces there. But PRAX is much more than a building. It's a network across disciplines here at Oregon State University. Our expansive mission is to use the power of the arts and humanities to propel knowledge, whether that knowledge originates in the lab or field or archive or studio. We're working with Annette to offer this evening. There are many performances in PRAX's opening season, which is all of spring term. But tonight we're able to offer a drawing for tickets to these 5 performances. And the way that we're going to do that is, if at the end of the evening, if you're interested in being put in a drawing for tickets, just write PRAX on the back of your name tag, the paper part, not the plastic part, and turn that in up here, and then we'll do a drawing. We have 20 tickets for each one of these shows, and so there's a good chance that you'll get some free tickets to Prax. That'll include you and a guest, so you can bring somebody that you want to hang out with. So I'll just wrap with saying that Jamie Margolin, who's a climate activist, we have the power to change the narrative. Let's rewrite the story of our planet and ensure that it's a tale of resilience, sustainability, and hope. You can follow along on our newsletter by Googling Spring Creek. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carly. Our final speaker is Rose Holdorf. Rose grew up in Corvallis and is the proud child of two small business owners. She learns, where is she? Oop. There she is. She learns from and finds joy in all her jobs at the farmer's market, selling produce for Riverland Family Farms, as a carpenter and sawyer for the Confluence Building on 2nd Street, teaching woodworking and basket weaving classes in town and across the country, and now as a steering committee member for Tarweed Folk School, where she gets to meet every month with her friends who help her dream come alive to build a folk school in the place where she was raised. Please give her a warm welcome.
Hello. Thanks to all of you for saving your Thursday evening for the town hall. And thank you to the Corvallis Sustainability Coalition and Annette for inviting me to come and speak about Tarweed Folk School and the practical arts. Practical arts is an art that serves a utilitarian purpose, like a craft or trade. It is connected to the material world and therefore the environment in which we are all surrounded. Tarweed Folk School's mission is to tend to the land, ourselves, and each other through the sharing of practical arts and place-based skills in the heart of the Willamette Valley. We offer classes and community events for hands-on learning to all ages, taught by local educators, craftspeople, scientists, tradespeople, small business owners, and members of our Willamette Valley communities. Thanks to our fiscal sponsor, Cascade Pacific Resource Conservation and Development, we are able to operate as a 501c3 nonprofit. And because we don't have a dedicated space, we are grateful for our indoor and outdoor classrooms provided by our partners, Greenbelt Land Trust, Highland Woodshop, the Corvallis Waldorf School, and Quail Outside. Although our connection to the Willamette Valley and the people who live here are at the heart of Tarweed's mission, the history of folk schools takes us to far-off places and spans over hundreds of years. So, what is a folk school? The concept of a folk school began in 19th century Denmark, proposed by a philosopher and poet, N.F.S. Grundtvig. His folk school idea was intended to help Denmark transition to a more grassroots and democratic model of social development. It was a way for rural citizens to find a hub for community participation, skill building, and to access space for lifelong learning that inspires the hands, the heart, and the mind. To do just that was a direct effort in building a more peaceful and just society. In the United States, folk school history goes back 100 years, starting with the John C. Campbell Folk School in 1925 in North Carolina. As you can see, represented by the image before you, there is a Folk School Alliance. Among many resources, the FSA's website offers a directory of more than 60 folk schools in North America. Some other known folk schools include North House Folk School in Minnesota, which is where I got my start as a craft educator, and also the Highlander Research and Education Center in Tennessee, formerly called the Highlander Folk School, It was a hub for peaceful conversations during the civil rights movement and hosted civil rights leaders such as Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, and U.S. Representative John Lewis. I also want to acknowledge that while the term folk school might be most known through this lineage of European and documented history, community-based learning and skill-building hubs does not exclusively belong to folk school heritage. Across cultures, there are diverse examples of how coming together to share resources and wisdoms can cultivate a more peaceful, just, and sustainable society. Well, what's tarweed? Tarweed has grown in the Willamette Valley and greater western region since time immemorial. It is found in the oak savanna, coastal, and woodland biomes of where we live. The indigenous peoples of this region have relied on specific tarweed species for food and for trade, harvesting its tiny seeds after controlled burns of the oak savanna. As an organization, we love tarweed for the beauty of the flower, the human story of reciprocity between the land and the people, and because it takes so much effort to harvest such a tiny thing. It teaches us to approach our work with much humility and a joy for the labor that comes with it. Although our steering committee has met in some form since 2019, we held our first folk school classes just last summer. It was a large undertaking, especially considering our steering committee is made up of working parents, craftspeople, and teachers themselves. I will just take a few moments for you to view the vast list of classes we offered last year. And for anyone who can't read this horribly small font, I will summarize it in a few moments. Okay. From blacksmithing to bike repair to timber framing, basket weaving, seed saving, and building with clay, we hosted 29 classes taught by 23 teachers with more than 250 students in participation. We also offered $3,500 in scholarship funding, fulfilling 100% of requests. I am also proud that we try to pay teachers well in hopes to better support them in their craft. Our first season would not have been possible without a generous donation made to the school through Benton Community Foundation, or without the help from our host partners, who I mentioned earlier. Coming up in 2024, we plan to host roughly the same amount of classes, but span our coursework across the seasons. To that end, you can see here a list of classes coming up May 11th and 12th. We also plan to host a weekend of classes July 20th and 21st and in the fall. We're excited by a new partnership with the Corvallis Waldorf School and continued collaboration with Highland Woodshop, Quail Outside, and Greenbelt Land Trust. With our limited resources, Tarweed Folk School wants to help elevate and support community-based learning that extends beyond the capacity of our 3 weekends of classes. So we've developed a community calendar on our website. Here we can list classes and opportunities led by Tarweed or partner organizations, but also by you, the members of the community. Self-organized gatherings, work parties, skill shares, and workshops can be highlighted in a grassroots way. So here are just a few more photos from our 2023 season. Starting in the upper left is a mud oven building class, Hard at Work. That oven was built in as part of a class, but ultimately given to the College Hill Alternative High School for their farm program. We've got some of our steering committee members in the upper center. Pack basket weaving class, Zoe taking the blacksmithing class in the lower right, more oven builders, and then a pupusa making class taught by Aurelia Hansen, who owns the Pupusa de Valle restaurant. So those are all my slides, but I wanted to just wrap up with a personal story of how folk schools first came into my life. In the summer of 2011, I graduated from Macalester College in St. Paul, Minnesota. In August, 4 close friends and I left St. Paul and went north. How much farther in the north of Minnesota can you get? But anyways, we embarked on a 3.5 month long bicycle trip, circumnavigating the Great Lakes, all the while documenting stories of people who live there and their relationship to the Great Lakes. It was a great excuse to meet with Sea Grant scientists, organic farmers, city planners, chefs, and all kinds of people who span the boundaries of 5 of the world's greatest freshwater resources. 1 week into our journey, we met with David Abaz of Finland, Minnesota. David is a sustainability researcher with the University of Minnesota, and at the time he also ran a small CSA farm with his wife Lisa. When we asked David what he wished more people knew about the place where he lives, he replied, "I wish more people would fall in love. If you love where you live and with what the earth provides, then it's easy to make the change. When you're in love, the things you need to do don't feel like a sacrifice. They are a joy." The next day, we rode our bicycles along the mighty shore of Lake Superior and landed in the tiny northern town of Grand Marais. There in the harbor was North House Folk School, and it remains to this day one of the most joyful places I have ever been. For Tarweed Folk School, I hope that through the sharing of practical arts and place-based skills, we can always work to harbor places of great joy and to sow a deep respect for the land around us and the people who tend it. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Rose, and for sharing that wonderful quote about if you fall in love with the place where you live, then what you do is not a sacrifice, it's a joy. That's how I feel. All right. And now it's time for our first discussion, which will focus on the arts as a portal to sustainability. And we have 2 questions for you at your table. During the first round at your table, please respond to this question. What is one thing from one of the speakers that caught your attention? What is one thing from one of the speakers that caught your attention? And then after everyone at your table has had a chance to respond, please give one example from one of the speakers of how the arts were used to communicate a sustainability concept. One example from one of the speakers of how the arts were used to communicate a sustainability concept. And your table will have 10 minutes to talk about these 2 questions. Thank you. Sounds like some good discussions going on, but we're going to need to move on. Next, we'd like to share with you the 2023 Community Scrapbook. As we've done for many years, we invited our partner organizations to send us some of their key accomplishments of the past year. And many of them responded, and we've compiled them into a community scrapbook that shows some of the progress that our community made in 2023 to advance environmental quality, social equity, and economic vitality. We received so many great responses that we've divided the scrapbook into 2 parts. So we'll be going quickly through the slides, so keep an eye out for accomplishments that impress or inspire you. And at this time, I'd like to introduce 2 members of the Coalition Steering Committee who will narrate this first section of the scrapbook. Please welcome Shana Rogers and Sean McGuire to the podium.
Thank you, Annette. 500 women scientists of Corvallis educated over 1,500 people on practical ways to create a better future at 18 Tap Talk events. They raised over $2,000 for 8 local organizations and partnered with 20 organizations, including the Corvallis Sustainability Coalition, to promote environmental, economic, and social sustainability. The Alliance for Recreation and Natural Areas received a generous donation from Hull Oaks Lumber for the Alcee Falls Hubert McBee Memorial Park to ensure it will serve the public into the future. They initiated a public fundraising campaign to replace the decaying boardwalk at Jackson Fraser Wetland. And the Mary's Peak Alliance of Ephrata led 500 Corvallis students on educational field trips to Mary's Peak. The Audubon Society of Corvallis conducted 4 birdwatching trips throughout Oregon for 40 participants. They improved the birding grounds at the Corvallis Hest Haven Nature Center and led workshops and open houses about local birds. They also hosted 9 speakers at public programs about birding locally and throughout the world. Abundant Solar installed solar on 61 homes and businesses, resulting in a total of 5 megawatts of solar power capacity since 2005. They also expanded their installations of solar battery backup systems. And they continue to be inspired by the legacy of the late James Reese Miller. 350 Corvallis organized the Rally for a Livable Planet in Central Park, addressing local action for the planetary climate emergency. They posted 40 yard signs around Corvallis promoting Go Electric to cut CO2 pollution. At the annual Planet Palooza event, they educated youth about individual responsibility for Earth care. The Benton County Historical Society installed a solar array on the Johnson Collection Center roof to generate 95% of the needed electricity for all of their Philomath buildings. Benton Soil and Water Conservation District assisted the owners of the 146-acre Kings Valley Mitchell property to save oak trees, increase the upland prairie, and prepare sites for planting native grasses and flowering plants. They provided free soil health tests to 12 farmers on 30 fields covering 750 acres to learn how to improve soil and watershed health. Block 15 Brewing Company's solar panels helped save 357,000 pounds of CO2 emissions, equal to 2,650 trees planted. They packed 85% of their product in packaging that is more easily recycled, and they donated more than $32,000 to nonprofits and organizations in the community through their People's Pint program and other fundraising efforts. The Arts Center celebrated 60 years of serving the community with 500 guests at its January birthday bash. They hosted the first Chromatic Vibes Artist and Maker event for 250 guests at Common Fields. They also supported the creative expression of 3,000 youth and adults through classes and free community events. The City of Corvallis Active Transportation Program organized the 5th annual Open Streets Corvallis, reimagining walkable, bikeable city streets between Central Park and Peanut Park with over 60 participating groups. They also inventoried city bike lane terminations, identifying 2 for improvement, resulting in 135 feet of new bike lane installations. The city's civic beautification and urban forestry volunteers worked with other community members to design, build, and maintain a new pollinator garden at the Arts Center. They improved numerous downtown bulb-out planters, and 12 trees were planted along Northwest Conifer Boulevard following a generous donation from the Unitarian Fellowship of Corvallis. The city of Corvallis adopted a building code amendment requiring new commercial buildings to be solar ready and their parking structures to be able to support EV chargers. The city contracted with an organization whose practices align with sustainability to provide and clean 20,000 work uniforms annually. They also installed new solar arrays at 2 fire stations. The Corvallis Environmental Center served over 1,000 students at the Starker Arts Garden for Education who experienced hands-on gardening lessons, nutritious food, and ecology in action. They partnered with the Sustainability Coalition at the Sage Concert Series to replace single-use dinnerware from vendors with reusable Green Girl dinnerware, reducing concert waste from 10 garbage bags per concert to less than 1 garbage can. Sean will take it from here.
Thank you. Good evening. Corvallis Citizens Climate Lobby met twice with Representative Val Hoyle's Washington, D.C. staff, wrote 535 letters to federal legislators, and 7 letters to the editor. They also did outreach at 11 events and presentations. The Corvallis Daytime Drop-In Center partnered with OSU to bring award-winning photojournalist John Noltner to Corvallis, displaying his work at the Benton County Museum and OSU Student Experience Center, hosting 3 photo sessions and presenting our community's response to the question, what does belonging mean to you? The 50th Corvallis Fall Festival bolstered Corvallis' economic strength by providing a marketplace for 170 artists and dozens of local entertainers. The Corvallis Fall Festival Art Discovery Zone provided free, accessible, and inclusive arts activities for hundreds of families. The 50-year-old Corvallis Folklore Society co-sponsored the first annual Celtic Music Festival with free public performances and participatory Celtic culture demonstrations. Yeah, my name's Sean Patrick McGuire. That rocks. The Corvallis Multicultural Literacy Center's legal clinic supported 149 individuals from 26 countries, and the citizenship program helped 6 people from 5 countries achieve U.S. citizenship. Class participants came from over 50 countries and spoke more than 50 languages among them. 275 unique class participants learned about topics ranging from learning English to Chilean cooking to youth art. Over 75 attendees at their Dia de Muertos celebration and over 175 attendees at their Japanese family gathering enjoyed heritage food and community building. Electrify Corvallis hosted our community's first Green Living and EV Expo, bringing people together to see, touch, and hear about opportunities to create all-electric homes. Together with G. Christensen Construction, they created a video showing the future of home retrofits, airtight and all-electric. The First United Methodist Church gave environmentally friendly bags to new members and used energy-saving LED bulbs in their sanctuary. To address social sustainability, they hosted Room at the Inn and several micro-shelters to support people experiencing homelessness. EnergyWise Services installed 730 kilowatts of solar systems, helping Oregonians make the shift away from fossil fuels and toward renewable energy. Corvallis Sister Cities Association Gondar Council maintained and repaired 10 wells in rural Gondar, Ethiopia, ensuring that communities will continue to have access to water. They connected Corvallis schools with Gondar by exchanging letters and learning from each other, and they supported the Gondar Donkey Library, a mobile library that visits rural schools with no access to traditional libraries. Furniture Share partnered with local co-ops and Van Vliet Meat to implement and expand their food box program, giving 3 to 5 pounds of meat and fresh produce to families in need. They successfully diverted over 90% of donated furniture from landfills, significantly reducing environmental impact and promoting a more sustainable community. Shepherd of the Valley Lutheran Church volunteers donated over 2,000 pounds of produce from their giving garden to the St. Vincent de Paul Food Bank. The Mary's Peak group of the Sierra Club, founding co-sponsor of the Chapinafoo series, celebrated their 8th fall season with programs about canoe families, traditional fire practices, and winter stories in the presenters' indigenous languages. They organized their annual Franco webinar series featuring popular Corvallis natural areas, and then followed by hikes to those areas. They sponsored local hikes featuring special habitats, such as beaver dams, that are critical to human sustainability. The 2023 graduating class of the Corvallis Waldorf School planted 10 trees, including 6 trees grafted by the graduating class of 2022 to create a new school apple orchard. Over 130 students in grades 1 through 8 at the school engaged in growing, harvesting, and processing food, medicine, and fibers through their agricultural arts program. New worm bins and an extended garden classroom were constructed by the 8th grade agricultural arts class. The League of Women Voters of Corvallis organized programs to educate the community on issues such as affordable housing and our local landfill, as well as providing election forums and in-person updates from our state legislators. They also sponsored a booth at Open Streets that helped community members test their knowledge about civics and learn about how to contact their city councilors. The First Alternative Co-op offered 460 different local products on their shelves, totaling more than $6 million in sales. They donated nearly $15,000 to support the amazing work of our local nonprofit organizations and supplied food throughout the year to local food banks and related organizations. Right on. The Mid-Valley Bicycle Club funded the purchase of a bicycle fleet to expand Corvallis Public Schools' bike education program into the secondary schools. They helped the Corvallis Police Department prevent theft by registering bicycles at community events, and they advocated for safe intersection crossings along the Tyler Neighborhood Bikeway. And Greenbelt Land Trust acquired 1,600 acres in the Coburg Hills of Lane County, protecting a remarkable collection of diverse habitats. They acquired Oak Creek Preserve in Corvallis, a keystone property that connects 100 miles of trails between Bald Hill, McDonald Forest, and MLK Park. And they created an extensive network of wetland vernal pools at Oak Creek Preserve and Bald Hill Farm. And from now, back to Annette.
Thank you both so much. So, now, once again, it's your turn. And we're asking you to respond to the following questions. In the first round, what's one accomplishment that you saw in the community scrapbook that you're excited about? What did you see that was exciting to you? And then the second round, was there something about the way that accomplishment was communicated that grabbed your attention? A photo, a phrase, or something else? How was it communicated to you in a way that resonated with you? So again, your table will have 10 minutes to discuss the question. Let's get started. So for the second half of the community scrapbook, I would like to introduce 2 more members of the Coalition's leadership team. Please welcome Action Team Leader Matt Gillespie and Steering Committee Member Andrea Norris to the podium.
Thank you, Annette. And thanks, everybody. So here we go. OSU Community Engagement and Leadership supported more than 2,000 students, completing more than 22,000 hours of service benefiting social and environmental issues. The OSU Sustainability Office launched the Sustainability Council, a hub for students to advance sustainability and justice at OSU and allocate support to their peers. OSU's new energy engineer saved an estimated $140,000 in 2023 energy costs
and hundreds of tons of carbon emissions. And the Sustainability Office co-hosted the Washington and Oregon Higher Education Sustainability Conference, which drew 400 participants, including nearly 100 OSU attendees. The OSU Capital Planning and Development Team opened Benton County's first two-way cycle track on Southwest Washington Way between Southwest Benton Place and Southwest 26th Street. A pavement restriping project on 26th Street added north-south bicycle lanes and enhanced OSU's pedestrian bicycle priority zone. The Corvallis Interfaith Climate Justice Committee received donations through their Corvallis Carbon Offset Fund and used those donations to support the activities of 4 local charitable organizations and projects. The result was an offset of 68 metric tons of CO2 emissions. Thank you, table. Humming Bee Nursery grew over 65,000 certified organic plants for Willamette Valley communities. They built 2 new greenhouses and moved from Marcola and are now fully operational in Corvallis. The South Corvallis Food Bank provided emergency food boxes to more than 23,000 individuals in 7,349 households, a 32% increase over 2022. They distributed more than 1,600 pounds of nutritious produce that was locally grown and donated to them. They provided clients with easy recipes and food samples using local produce from the Corvallis Environmental Center's Sage Garden. Remarkable Arts and Conundrum House supported social sustainability through their games and play experiences designed to bring communities together. They also kept many items out of the landfill through recycling, upcycling, reusing, refurbishing, and repurposing them, turning them into collectible and functional treasures for others. Flicker and Fur's Southtown Farm Stand and Market completed its 9th year with 20 small growers and implemented a no single-use plastic policy. They completed the 5th year of their community-supported agriculture program, serving over 50 members, and they hosted their first eclipse event to educate people about the stars and nature while enjoying a farm-to-table breakfast. The Spring Creek Project produced its first podcast series, Inner Nature, to explore the intersection of contemplative practice and environmental action, reaching thousands of listeners. They launched a new program called Environmental Writing Fellowship and Residency with the 2023 theme of Oregon's climate forests. And they joined PRAX, the OSU Patricia Valian Research Center for the Creative Arts, to address environmental issues by bringing together artists, scientists, and leaders in the humanities. Peak Heat Pumps and Electric converted 8 units from electric resistance heat to ductless heat pumps for only $120 per system after rebates, saving customers $39,000 and 43,000 kilowatt hours. They helped more than 70 local landlords upgrade to energy-efficient heat pumps in their rentals while making use of rebates offered through the Oregon Department of Energy and Energy Trust of Oregon. They also installed 10 entire home heat pump and cooling systems at no cost to customers. The Corvallis School Board approved an updated district sustainability management plan. Aprobación del Plan de Gestión de Sostenibilidad por la Junta de Consejo Escolar. Stone Soup served nearly 45,000 fresh, healthy meals to community members in need with the help of over 500 volunteers at 3 locations. Sunborn Children's House replaced 60-year-old gas-fired water boiler with a new mini-split HVAC system. They also created a snack and exploration garden that includes 4 large raised beds. Tarweed Folk School celebrated its inaugural season with 23 teachers, 29 classes, and 258 participants, inspiring the practical arts in Corvallis. Seeds for the Soul provided more than 100 free home energy assessments and funded 53 installation upgrades, 14 heat pumps, and 8 solar arrays. They received funding from the Energy Trust of Oregon, the City of Corvallis, the Unitarian Fellowship, and many individual Planet Savers for a revolving loan fund to install these projects. Their 2023 installations helped low to moderate income clients avoid more than 20,000 tons of CO2 from being emitted into the atmosphere. Veterans for Peace, Linus Pauling chapter, shared literature at the Eugene Peace Fair about how war and militarism contribute to the climate crisis. Faith, Hope, and Charity provided emergency weather sheltering to hundreds of our most vulnerable community members in Benton, Lynn, and Lincoln counties. And during a heat wave in August, when temperatures reached over 102 degrees, they provided temporary shelter to 78 community members. Jubilate Women's Choir performed public concerts with songs in many languages about social justice and preserving beauty, peace, and nature. Their June summer solstice concert at Starker Arts Park was followed by a Beaver Dam tour of Sunset Park, led by the Coalition's Water Action Team. And Andrea will take it from here.
As your final community scrapbook speaker, I want to say, if you want to throw in any additional applause or woos, I will not object. So the Vina Moses Center's free thrift store and financial assistance program had bilingual staff available 100% of the hours they were open in order to provide services to all clients. Their pop-up back-to-school closets in rural Benton County gave clothes and shoes to nearly 100 children in Monroe and Alsea. Oregon Clean Power Co-op financed solar on 3 Corvallis schools, on the Benton County Historical Society Museum facility in Philomath, and on Solar Harvest, the OSU research facility that combines agriculture and solar and is their one-of-a-kind community solar project. They were awarded more than $250,000 in prize money by the U.S. Department of Energy in recognition of their pioneering work in community-based solar. Willamette Grange number 52 celebrated its 150 years of Grange engagement and service to our community, offering 12 free family events and growing its membership to 100 members. They celebrated the 100th year of their facility, Willamette Community and Grange Hall, upgrading the building and the landscaping. Marys River Watershed Council helped install a pond leveler and a beaver dam at Starker Arts Park to decrease flooding and encourage beaver and human coexistence. They educated over 500 Corvallis middle schoolers at the Mary's Peak Field Days, viewing the journey of migratory fish from Mary's Peak to the Pacific Ocean. They also removed invasive knotweed and trees in the Marys River watershed, including at 7 Corvallis sites. Wild Yeast Bakery completed installation of a 10.4 kilowatt solar system by Pure Energy Group on their bakery roof in the Postega family's historic Pepsi building. Unity Shelter partnered with local high schools to build micro shelters for the Safe Place program, providing job training and critical basic needs. They expanded their traditional health worker program that assists guests with accessing basic physical, mental, and behavioral health needs. And they expanded room at the inn to accommodate 50 beds, a 50% increase over their original capacity. The Sustainability Coalition's Community Inclusion Action Team co-sponsored and co-funded the 7th annual Chapinafu series. They also partnered with the Natural Areas Action Team to manage the 2nd year of the Neighborhood Roots program to plant street trees in Corvallis neighborhoods that could benefit from more tree cover. The Health and Human Services Action Team partnered with the Energy Action Team to sponsor a bilingual outreach booth at Open Streets, providing energy-saving information in both English and Spanish. Energy Action Team members help raise community investments and donations through the Solarize Corvallis initiative to finance solar systems at Benton County Historical Society's Artifact Storage Facility, First Alternative Co-op, and OSU's Beth Ray Center. Partnering with Seeds for the Soul, the team offered free home energy assessments and retrofit clinics through the Shift Together program campaign, helping residents determine their energy-saving priorities and learn about funding available to them. They also co-sponsored a home energy fair at Franklin Square Park, providing neighbors and other community members with information about home energy improvements and funding opportunities. The Education Action Team assisted the student green teams at Corvallis School District schools, providing support for activities such as trash audits, recycling, gardening, and composting. The Transportation Action Team supported active transportation by delivering portable bike racks to community events, including concerts at Sage, Open Streets, Septemberfest, Oktoberfest, Corvallis Fall Festival, and Funk in the Forest. They also organized their 3rd EV Show and Tell event at the Benton County Fairgrounds and raised awareness about safer multimodal street design through their webinar series. The Economic Vitality Action Team co-sponsored a Third Thursdays pilot program in downtown Corvallis, featuring 20 art venues, 6 restaurants, and 15 merchants. Through the Saving Green program, coalition staff facilitated over 100 lighting walkthroughs for Energy Trust of Oregon to upgrade small and medium local workplaces to LED lighting, which was completely free to participants. Once all 100 workplace installations are complete, they will conserve thousands of kilowatt hours per year, save $75,000 annually, and prevent over 1 million pounds of CO2 from entering the atmosphere every year. The Natural Areas Action Team organized the 14th Annual Natural Areas Celebration Week, featuring free family-friendly events during the first week of May. 16 diverse events included hikes, walking tours, workshops, and lectures, all offered by local nonprofits and natural resource specialists. The Waste Prevention Action Team's No Food Left Behind program educated our community on the why and how to prevent wasted food at home through face-to-face outreach at farmers markets, open streets, classrooms, service clubs, and through their Kitchen Confessions blog. The team's Recycling Block Captains program distributed 3 instructional handouts throughout Corvallis, focusing on recycling contamination at the curb, electronic waste disposal, and creating less trash. The team also completed the pilot phase of Benton to Go, our community's reusable takeout container program. The Food Action Team sponsored 2 home garden tours attended by hundreds of community members, distributed 1,000 copies of the Corvallis Garden Resource Guide, and co-sponsored the Corvallis Public Seed Library at the Corvallis-Benton County Library. They provided farmers market dollars through their It's On Us program and access to food demonstrations and cookbooks for checkout through their Cooks and Books program. They helped lay the groundwork for the South Corvallis Food Hub project and co-sponsored the Winter Vegetable Sagra, led by 10 Rivers Food Web. The Water Action Team sponsored 103 work parties on public land with nearly 400 volunteers working a total of more than 2,700 hours. They planted more than 700 native plants at 13 Corvallis sites, provided 14 public tours of local creeks and natural areas, and funded the design and installation of natural area interpretive displays. After 8 years of hard work, volunteer work at Bald Hill Natural Area, and after raising over $130,000 from individual local donors, they demolished the underground drainage pipes, installed a large culvert under the elevated multimodal path, and reached their goal of regenerating the lost seasonal headwaters of Denali Creek. Look at that. And that concludes our scrapbook, so I invite Annette back.
Thank you both. There's so much good stuff happening in our community, and that's just a small percentage of what's happening. So once again, it's your turn. This will be our last opportunity for discussion this evening. And so first round, what did you see or hear about in the entire community scrapbook that you'd like to be involved in? What would you like to be involved in? And from what you've experienced tonight, how would you use the arts as a portal to share a sustainable practice with others? Now, for that second question, I want to give you a couple of examples, because I know we don't think of ourselves as artists, but I think we're all committed to sustainability. All right, first example, something I'm passionate about related to sustainability is active transportation. I love riding my bike. I feel like I'm 8 years old again when I get on my bike. So how can I convey that to others through the arts in a way that might engage them? Well, I might write a story about my lifetime of bike riding experiences and share it with others through social media or to a smaller group of friends and family. Or I could ask a friend to take a short video of me riding my bike around Corvallis and talking about why I love riding my bike around our community. I also, as a second example, I also really care about supporting our local farmers, and I love to cook. So I might share that passion by practicing the culinary arts, by inviting friends over for a beautiful and delicious meal that uses local ingredients. And as part of the meal, I would identify the names of local farms that were the source of the meal's ingredients and tell where I bought them. So culinary arts is something we could all probably be involved with. So for the second question, think about some aspect of sustainability that you care about, whether it's environmental, social, or economic, and then consider how you might use one or more of the arts to convey that interest to others. And we're probably going to have about 7 or 8 minutes for this one. So let's get started. So we have just a few more minutes together. And as always, we like to leave people with some opportunities for action. So I'd like to introduce 3 action options that you will be hopefully considering. And I'll be asking our table leaders to hand out response cards in just a minute, but not yet, not yet. First, I want to go over the options with you. And the little card looks like this. And the first option on the response card is engage with the Sustainability Coalition. If you were to click on that QR code or type in that URL, it will take you to the coalition's homepage. And on the top navigation bar, you'll see a tab that says Get Involved. And that will take you to a range of opportunities, from joining the Sustainable Corvallis Google group, if you're not already part of it, to having your organization become a partner organization, to becoming a volunteer or a student intern. The second option on the response card is engage with a coalition partner organization. If you click on that QR code or type in that URL, it will take you to the coalition's webpage that it lists all of our partner organizations, over 360 of them. So if you saw a particular organization in the community scrapbook that you think you might like to be involved with, you'll be able to find it on our partners' webpage. And for most of our partners, there's a link that will take you directly to their website or Facebook page. A third way you can help create a sustainable community is by supporting the work of the Corvallis Sustainability Coalition with a donation. If you click on that QR code or type in that URL, it will take you to the donate page on the coalition's website. And we are extremely appreciative of everyone who makes our work possible through their financial gifts. Every donation we receive helps empower us to do more to advance the environmental quality, social equity, and economic vitality of our community. So at this time, I would like to ask our table leaders to hand out the cards that are in your packets that show the 3 ways that you can engage. And we'd like you to take this card home with you and use it as a reference and a resource for taking action. Now, if you'd like to make a donation tonight, please go to the coalition website by clicking on the QR code, or ask your table leader for a donation envelope. There are a few donation envelopes in each packet. So you had an opportunity tonight through the community scrapbook to see the types of projects that the coalition's action teams are working on and what your gifts would be going toward. No matter how much you choose to give to the Sustainability Coalition, whether it's $5 or $500, we really appreciate your support. So hopefully the table leaders have passed out those cards. And if anybody, we had a lot of people who registered who said, oh, I want to donate at the event. So that's why we have a few donation envelopes for those folks who maybe brought a check with them for a few dollars. So earlier this evening, Carly Latero announced that the first performances at the New Prax Performing Arts Center will take place in April. If you want to enter the drawing for a free ticket to one of the performances, take off, actually everybody should take off their name badges right now so you don't forget to turn them back in. If you want to enter the drawing, take out the little card and write Prax on the back of your card and hand it to your table leader. So whoever's been leading the discussion at your table, if you want to be in the drawing, simply write Prax and give it to your table leader. And we want to give a big shout out and a thank you to Carly and the folks at Prax for their generous donation of tickets. That's a lot of tickets. We will be doing the drawing, probably not tonight, but maybe tomorrow morning, and we will contact you because it's on your name tag. And if you registered for the coalition, hopefully we have some of your contact information. So before we adjourn, I would just like to make some closing remarks. The Corvallis Sustainability Coalition has always been about working toward solutions. We typically don't focus on the problems because we assume that everyone here already knows about the problems that we face. We focus on solutions and the sustainable world that we want to help create. But it must be said that we live at a time in human history when we are witness to the devastating impacts of human choices on our beautiful, precious planet. And we can choose to ignore these signs and go about our lives as though nothing has changed. Or we can seize this opportunity to be part of a great transition to live light. We hope you have a great rest of your evening. We look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you. So you've all given your name tags, badges, because we want to reuse these, of course. And if you have a water glass at your table, please leave it on the table in the back corner so we can return them and they can be used again. Thank you so much.